The warehouse is open. Tales from the Warehouse, Volume 62, collector profile time. We're going to the state of 10,000 lakes or something like that. It's Minnesota. It's just outside of Minneapolis. It's our new friend, Lucas Brawdy, who collects wild, and, well, we're going to get wild. Hashtag dad jokes. Sorry about that. Lucas, thanks for making time to come inside the warehouse. Appreciate it, sir.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. I appreciate you having me. I'm looking forward to talking hockey. It's been a little bit since there's been any hockey stuff going on, so just ready to get into it, ready to talk some hockey, ready to talk game war and stuff. I'm ready.
Perfect. Before we get to that, I always like to ask the folks when we do the collector profile, as much as you care to divulge, because it may be I'm a spy, and if I tell you, I'd have to kill you. What does Lucas do in real life?
What do I do in real life? So I work as a data analyst for my job. So do a kind of a lot of SQL stuff, a lot of data warehousing, reporting, stuff like that. That's kind of my day-to-day job of what I do. And on top of that, it's really after that, it's going to games, wild season ticket holder, stuff like that. So that's really kind of the day-to-day and kind of what takes me into October and beyond.
Totally understandable. And again, it is our pleasure to have you here. So we're talking wild here. We're buying wild over there. Check out the Minnesota Wild jerseys from the first year of the My Gray Wild program, available at mygray.com. And of course, tick, 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 summer sale. It's running down, but it's running until September 1st. So great deals, great sweaters still to be had. mygray.com. Also, if you are a lover of basketball or of just really cool stuff, My Gray Lakers items are currently up for bid at Heritage Auction. Now, you got lockers from the Lakers dressing room used throughout the LeBron era, 18 to present, that'd be 2018 to present, along with Icon Edition jerseys and warm-up shirts and jackets. These are all part of something big that's going on at Heritage Auctions. It's the 2025 August 23rd and 24th Summer Platinum Sports Auction. It'll enter extended bidding, but not till Saturday, October 24th at 11 o'clock in the East. So again, awesome Lakers stuff over from My Gray over at Heritage Auctions. Check it out. Lucas, take me back. How did your journey into the wonderful world of NHL game-used fabric begin? So many folks say it's through cards. Other people say it was through sticks or pucks, or I went to a game, I had no idea you could do this, and man, you can do this, and now I'm wedded to the hobby for life.
Yeah, so my introduction to I've always been somewhat of a collector. You know, when you're younger, it starts with the cards. It's the football cards, it's the baseball cards, it's everything like that when you're younger. And really, for me, I think it started off as football, actually. I really kind of started collecting. Out of college, I was like, I want to get something for the wall. I was like, I want to get something to put up on the wall. And I ended up getting just some Adam Thielen signed jersey, a Stephon Diggs signed jersey, just looking something for the man cave, something for the wall that you can display up. And really then from there it was, okay, now they're having auctions. And it's like, okay, what are these auctions? Oh, it's some game worn Adam Thielen cleats. So it's like, okay, that's cool. And then it just kind of grew. It was like, what's the next step of collecting? It's the game worn stuff. So I collected some game worn football stuff for a while. Again, more Minnesota Vikings centered, being kind of a transplant Minnesota guy. That was what my collection was. But then really my journey to hockey, I'm originally from Wisconsin. So not a hockey team in Wisconsin, besides, I guess, maybe the Admirals down in Milwaukee, but I'm more of a Western Wisconsin kind of guy. And to be frank, wasn't really big into hockey. Just wasn't it. It was football. It was baseball. And that really was, hockey wasn't on my radar. Of course, yeah, in college, you play NHL with the guys in the dorm and stuff like that. But my journey really started kind of before COVID. We're looking for something fun to do. I was like, yeah, we live up in Minneapolis now. Like, let's go to a game. And it was, okay, this is kind of fun. Let's go again. And that's really kind of how it went. And then it was, hey, the Wild are having this was at the time of the reverse retro 1.0s. Mm-hmm. Hey, we're having an auction. And I was like, all right, I know this game worn stuff, but I haven't collected hockey stuff. What is this? So I got there. I won some Marcus Foligno gloves, and I was like, whoa.
Hooked.
Like that. Yeah, these are cool. This is awesome. And then from there, I think I ended up getting connected onto the Facebook group, the Minnesota Wild Game Used Collector group on Facebook. And then really it took off from there. It was, okay, you go to the game, you see the stands. okay, what jerseys do they have? What sticks? Everything like that. And really from there, it just kind of blew up all the auctions, all the stuff at the game, stuff like that. And yeah, for someone who's been kind of so infancy into my kind of hockey journey of only 5 or 6 years, I was like, this is cool. I have to get into this.
Talking to Lucas Brawdy, our new friend from the great state of Minnesota via Wisconsin, Tales from the Warehouse, Volume 62, doing a little collector's profile here in the mid to late August. Season getting ever closer. Don't forget to check out mygray.com for the Wild and the other partner clubs and all of the other inventory. Lots still available by the end of the summer sale, which expires on September 1st. You mentioned the gloves. Do you remember, and do you still have the first game-worn sweater that you acquired, sir?
I do. I don't have it anymore. I recently traded it this past year, but the first jersey I got was a Kalen Addison Iowa Wild jersey. It was one of the jerseys off our backs, and I believe it was 2020 or 2019. It was one of those that just another auction. I was like, well, again, minor league affiliate. This is cool. Gotta have it. So I won that. I don't have that, but I do still have the Foligno gloves.
Very, very cool. You mentioned back in college. Where did we go to school? Where did you go to school? I know where I went to school.
Went to school at University of Wisconsin, Eau Claire.
Okay, very good. Did you go to see hockey there? Did you ever make an effort to obtain something from that? Because a lot of people are like, shoot, when I went to school, hockey was huge there. And obviously it's very big all over Wisconsin, Minnesota, high school, college, all the way up. Ever any ties to get something from Eau Claire?
Never ties to get something. I think I ended up going to like one game just with a buddy. It was just one game. But yeah, my hockey kind of love for hockey didn't really start until after school or like after college and moving up to the Minneapolis area, going to games and then realizing, wow, this is a sport that's way better in person. The atmosphere is bar none, especially in the state of hockey. It was incredible, but I haven't gotten anything from back at UW Eau Claire, but I think Eau Claire does have a pretty good hockey program.
All right, but you mentioned other names outside of the NHL, like Diggs, like Thielen. Does the collection still have a heartbeat outside of the NHL, or have you focused on hockey strictly?
It did have a little bit of a heartbeat outside of hockey, but I would say over the last year, it's been probably more refocused into kind of strictly hockey. Kind of started moving off on some of those old pieces that I know, hey, collecting dust in my collection. There's probably some people out there that are going to appreciate these more and love them more than what I do at this moment. And it's really probably been hockey ever since last year.
Lucas, you said, you go to a game, you go to another game at Excel, and you're instantly hooked. Tell me a little bit about that sort of experience and what kept you going. Again, you love the game, but it also says a lot about just the Wild fan community and the game experience.
Yeah, I think the thing is, it's just, I don't know if rowdy's the right word, but it's just, I think it's literally, it's just the atmosphere of being at a game, like, especially like you start out getting in like the 100 levels. Even and I think how I look at it is like, whatever level you view the game from, you get a different experience. I personally like being in the 100 levels, but like, it was just going to a game. It was like, I think it was just the intensity and something that you don't really get on TV. It's just the speed. Just how hard they get hit into the boards, how fast the game moves, just the skill that doesn't necessarily translate on TV well, but it was literally that. And then it's, oh, there's one goal. Okay, crowd goes wild. There's 2 goals. There's 3. And it's just like, this is incredible. And the Wild do a great job with just the atmosphere, just everything that goes into it. It's an experience of going. It's not like, hey, you're sitting on your couch. I think, to me, I love football, but I'm not dying to go to a football game in person. I think hockey, I'm like, okay, I gotta go see there. I gotta try to get up on the boards. I gotta get as close as I can to really feel that action. And that's really kind of what drove it. Was it's fast, it's loud, it's fun.
You can tell me better than a lot of people who grow up in that part of the country. You could have been a Hawks fan. You could have been a Wings fan. And again, I don't mean any offense. It's sacrilege. A guy from Western Wisconsin would never, ever, ever violate. That's the territory. And we'll talk. I have a beer question later, but like, have you ever crossed the border with New Glarus and not felt guilty about it? At any rate, but we'll get to that. But in that part of the country, you're like, yeah, Minneapolis is my closest, but there are other options here. You chose to become a fan of the Wild, or it's always been Wild?
I would say it was kind of chose, but it was more so like Chicago is still 4 hours away, 5 hours away. So the ease of getting to there is not readily accessible. And I've always growing up in Western Wisconsin, going to Minneapolis has always been easier. It's only an hour 30, hour 45 drive. So It's a lot easier to go there. But again, when I was in college, one of my good buddies, Minnesota fan, that's what you're using on NHL. So I was like, okay, that's kind of like they're the closest one. But I was like, okay, I'm not at that point. I was like, okay, I'm not really a diehard. Okay, rah, that's my team. I would say it was really, again, because of the proximity, it was, okay, this is the team that's here. Obviously, it's like, I'm more kind of like, I like the hometown teams, but it was like, as soon as I got there, it was like, yep, I can go to games. I can have fun. This is going to be my team. I don't need to go anywhere else now.
It's Tales from the Warehouse, Volume 62, talking to Minnesota's finest via Western Wisconsin. Lucas Brawdy, nice enough to join us, make some time, doing a little collector's profile. You're of a different generation. The team left more than a minute ago. Is there still talk about what was with Mr. Green and the Stars leaving? Not, and again, you don't have to give me a deep, dark history, but do people still kick it around, or we love the Wild, they're Dallas's issue now? Bye.
Yeah, I think it's still one of those things that stings. Everyone still is like, hey, this is where hockey should be. Feels like you should never take hockey out of Minnesota. And I think it's one of those things that, hey, that still comes up where someone's like, hey, you talk about the Wild, you have to talk about what happened over 25 years ago and taking hockey out of Minnesota. It's still there. I think I wouldn't even say it's still kind of a fresh wound, I think, for some people where they're like, hey, this stings, but I think people are on board with what has happened in the last 25 years of having the Wild, but It's one of those things you can't dismiss happened.
No, it's a very, very good point. We have friends in Montreal who are still quite angry about what happened with the Expos. I live in just outside of Washington, D.C. in Maryland. I'm actually an Eagles fan, but I live 45 minutes from where the Commanders play and 45 minutes from where the Ravens play. But if you ask my friends who grew up in Baltimore, no, of course they're never going to forget about the Colts moving under the cover of darkness and what happened with that ownership and what have you. However, the Ravens have made them quite happy and quite proud, and they've had reason to celebrate. And the Ravens are a really good organization, but it still stings. I'm glad you used that word, because it still stings for all of them. All right, let's play a little show and tell. You feel free to share, but out of everything in your collection, tell me a little bit about the top pieces that you take the most pride in saying, I can't believe this resides in a case or hanging up on a wall or folded up neatly or in a closet. There's always the pinch me factor with so many of these collector profiles, and I'm here for it, sir.
Yeah, let's start out with, let me get a go. We'll get to the one at the end. This is a Kirill Kaprizov.
Oh my. That's very fish, sir.
Yeah. Playoff worn. I think it was last time, not this past year, but I think the last time they were in the playoffs. So 2 years ago, This one, little bit of wear on the sleeves, but this was one that was like, so the Wild did, before moving to Migrate, they did a summer sale, kind of a blowout sale. And they had that listed in there, and it was at a price, and I was like, okay, I don't really want to pay that. So we'll just go to the summer sale. They keep putting gloves out. They keep putting sticks out. They keep putting some other stuff out. Let's go. I think I went 2 days, and then I was like, okay. And then it was one of those times where, like, on the last day, someone had posted on the Wild Facebook group and was like, hey, there was 3 Kaprizovs there. Went and there was like, okay, I've got this one and this one. I was like, wait a minute, what happened? He's like, oh yeah, they dropped the price when they said they weren't going to. So I was like, I'm 35 minutes away from XL. I was like, I need to go down there. I need to get that. So I hopped in my car, drove down to XL. I was like, I need to have that, searching the rack, to the point where, like, I brought it up to the lady. She was ringing out. She's like, I need to go get the manager, and I need to make sure this price is right.
Oh no.
for what we had. She's like, yep, that's the right price, because they're just trying to get rid of it. That's one that I'm like, kind of the story of just like, oh, that's a good one of like collectors helping collectors.
Sure.
That was a good one there. That's one I'm proud of. Another one that I got this year, one of the favorite. It's a Team USA, Four Nations, Brock Faber.
Gorgeous. One of the anchors of the future of the franchise for sure.
Yep, Maple Grove kid as well. Just, I thought these jerseys were just super
Stunning.
sleek. Just the attention to detail. And I have a Jewel Eriksson X Sweden one. Same thing. Just attention to detail is just stunning. So good. And it was my first time with the new Fanatics jerseys and feeling the double sleeves.
Yes.
And feeling how thick these are.
Like chainmail.
Yeah, exactly. It's so thick and it's so heavy. I was like, whoa, that's pretty cool. Let's see. Another one.
I love this new pinch me thing. I'm going to use this for the collector profiles going forward. I'm like, tell me your pinch me jerseys. And you got two great ones so far. So let's go 3 for 3.
Let's go 3 for 3. This one got a nice,
the 78s as they call them, right?
Yes.
I want to make sure I got that right.
Yep, the nice 78s, going back to the 78 North Star. Marco Rossi. I know there's some contract disputes now, but another great young centerman that, I mean, I just love his story. Just the fact that basically from nearly dying and basically feeling like having a myocarditis, stunting his development and having this kind of everything that just went on with him, to coming in 2 years ago and 3 years ago, and people be like, I don't think this kid's NHL ready.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he's going to get there. And then to kind of see what he's done, playing 82 games the last 2 seasons, putting up 40 points his first full season, putting up 60 this past season. Just the 78 jerseys are just gorgeous in person. That's something I've always said is like, as soon as I get a 78 jersey, like the Wild jerseys, I think are top of the league. I think they're really cool. They're really nice. But once you get the 78 jerseys in person and get them in your hands, I know the first time I opened up another one, I'm like, whoa, these are just super cool. So that's another one. But I think
super tempted. So go ahead. I know, because you and I spoke right before we sat down to record. There's another pinch me jersey in your collection that you are. I am a goalie collector. Mm-hmm. There's always been a guy that I've wanted to. There've been several guys that I've wanted to add to my modest closet, but time and circumstance and funding always do seem to come into play, which is understandable. It's a hobby. Make of it what you want. It can be as affordable as you'd like, or it can be as sometimes a little cost prohibitive. But again, as I like to hashtag all of these, hobby responsibly, do it the right way. But you have another pinch me piece in your Wild collection that my jaw dropped. And it's one of those pieces too, Lucas, that has a really cool backstory too. And you just want to reach out and go, I need that regardless of circumstance.
Yeah. So the jersey that we're talking about is a Marc-Andre Fleury jersey. This one is backup worn, but the cool thing about this jersey, this Marc-Andre Fleury jersey, is this is his last NHL jersey that worn in his career. So this was worn on the 5-1 game against the Vegas Golden Knights, where he backed up in the losing effort this season. And that one was, like you said, that was one of the pinch me's where that made it to the Migrate website. And I was scrolling through, and I'm not a big goalie collector, but you can't not love a Fleury for who you are. If you just one of the greatest goalies of all time, you can't help but appreciate and just love the guy. But it was one of those ones where it made it to the Migrate website, and I'm not usually a big game issue collector or anything like that. But I saw that, and it's one of those ones, like, I had to do a double take where I was like, wait a minute, is that the last jersey that he wore in his career? Then come to find out, I was like, yep, it was worn in all 4 of the home playoff games that did him. Granted, he backed up in all of those, but still, it's going to be the last. It's going to be the one where people look back and say, hey, Marc-Andre Fleury left the ice for the final time. Granted, don't think he's coming out of retirement, but people are trying. They've been trying, but that's one of the ones where I was like, holy cow, yeah, pinch me. I can't believe that I ended up getting a Marc-Andre Fleury and one that I felt has some historic value, knowing that like he's arguably top 3 goalies of all time, and knowing that that was the last jersey that he wore in his NHL career. Just having that as like, holy cow, that was cool. Yeah, it was one of those, I need to have that. I don't care what it is.
And now it resides in your collection. Sometimes backup worn sweaters, and again, you can be blessed with a mark here, a mark there, because these guys will go out, take warm-ups, take a shot, anything there, any pilling. Again, I have a nothing to do with nothing, but a Brent Johnson, former Washington Capital, former Pittsburgh Penguin. I believe he crossed paths with it. No, he was in Pittsburgh at the same time as Fleury. It was bench worn from the Caps from a good couple of seasons ago, probably 16 or 18 now. And Lucas, if I told you, you'd be like, get the heck out of here. It has so much pilling from him sitting on the bench. And I don't know if he was nervously doing this with his wrist as I shake my wrist, and he was wearing a glove, and the cuff kept rubbing. You have no idea how much pilling is on this. And the even funnier part is, and it was the early Reebok, the 1.0. So it's got the pulls all over it. There's a repair, like a 2-inch repair on the rib cage. And the My Gray letter states, and you could check the game log, he didn't play a minute in the game, yet it had a repair and it had a ton of pilling. In your Fleury, have you been able to, and again, it's good as gold, but have you been able to spot anything that'd be like, wow, Mark did me a little solid in his departure?
Yeah, there's not too much for wear on that one. I think there's a stray mark here and there, but there's nothing crazy. It's just, I think, what you would expect of just a typical warm up kind of, hey, he took a puck off the shoulder or whatever, but it's nothing like, there's not littered with marks or anything like that. It's just he's got the kind of the 1 or 2, but even then, like I said, it's more for kind of the historic value than I knew what I was getting when I got that. It's like you said, it's just kind of the little piece de resistance on top.
Right. Oh, it's perfect. And speaking of pièce de résistance, very, very nice. You provided me with a great segue. My Gray Lakers items currently up for bid at Heritage Auctions, featuring Icon Edition jerseys, warm-up shirts, and jackets. It's part of the Heritage Auctions August Summer Platinum Sports Auction. Extended bidding doesn't start for a little bit, but get your bids ready Saturday, August 24th at 11 p.m. There's also lockers from the Lakers dressing room used throughout the LeBron era. You talk about pièce de résistance for an NBA or NHL or whatever. Those things are available. Check out the Heritage Auction Summer Platinum Sports Auction via My Gray. Heritage has them. And also, check out mygray.com. Of course, you got the Wild. A lot of Wild there. It's their first year as a partner program. We'll talk about the experience in just a hot second, but the summer sale also rages on. If you haven't taken part, it has been an absolute blast. Pieces still available, deals to be had. That one runs through September 1st. You mentioned gloves. I see a helmet over your shoulder. Still sticking with, is it mostly sweaters, or if you see a piece, you're like, actually, I love this player, whether it's Rossi or Faber or Kaprizov or this guy, that guy. Are there still gloves and sticks and such to be added to the collection?
Yeah, I think there's always room for the right piece, in my opinion. So this back here, I've got a lot of helmets, and I got some Faber helmets back there, some Rossi helmets, some gloves. I've got a couple pieces out here as well. But yeah, I think I got a nice stick collection too. But I think it's like, if the piece is right, it's gotta be added, even if I haven't collected that before. And I've got something here where it's like, I haven't collected that before, but I'm like, well, I feel like I gotta have that, or I gotta add that to the collection, kind of regardless of what it is.
Of course. And speaking of which, is there a wild white whale? Easy for me to say. No matter how rare or unreachable, and you're like, one day. And by the way, having Fleury's finale sweater, no matter what, dude, that'd be my white whale. That's gorgeous and good for you. But is there something else that you're like, one day I'll give it a whirl?
I mean, obviously, I think a game worn Fleury, that's kind of just keep adding Fleuries to the collection, regardless of what they are. But another one I would like to add to the collection eventually is a Derek Boogaard. I had a boogeyman, one of the most iconic enforcers in the NHL, and just someone beloved by Minnesota fans. I would love to eventually get my hands on a boogeyman shirt and just add that to the collection. Just put that in the vault and just let it sit there. Don't move it. I would love to add a boogeyman eventually.
When it comes to adding to the Wild collection, is it player? Is it style? Is it wear? All of the above? Couple of checks on the intangible board. Where do you sit on that?
I think it depends. It's kind of depends. I think first off, it's kind of player and style. I think really what I've kind of focusing my collection. I think a lot of trying to build some depth in the collection is really kind of where I'm going. So I'm trying to get some players I like. I'm trying to get the different styles. I think obviously then if you can choose between if you can choose between a jersey, if you look online and say like a Yakov Trenin, like I'd like to add a white away jersey eventually. And I know they've got kind of set 1 and set 2 up there. It's like, okay, I know what player I want. I know what style. My next thing is I'm going to go for wear. If I can get the one that's got the most wear, just see all the battle scars on the shoulders and the arms and stuff like that. That's what I want to see. But I think it kind of depends with like, hey, if I'm really looking for, say, a Matt Boldy, I'm not going to turn down a Matt Boldy just because, oh, well, you know what? It doesn't have enough repairs on the left sleeve or this and that. I'm like, nope.
I can get
Exactly. I'm like, nope, I want a Matt Boldy. I'm going to look for that. And I think sometimes it's just like whatever you can get, that's just, hey, that's what it is. And eventually you can move on from stuff. But I'm like, hey, that's the one I want. That's the one I want.
The Wilds have gone through I can't remember a style that they've worn, Lucas, that I have not liked. And the 78s are fantastic. I hope to one day see one in person or perhaps even acquire one. The first version of the reverse retros, the old alts with the red that, whether it was Marty Havlat or Owen Nolan or Nicholas Backstrom, not the caps forward, but the goaltender, they had some really good looking. I mean, and again, I've been doing this for a hot minute. I had a Backstrom that I absolutely loved. I had a Manny Fernandez like back in the time, but they always seem to get it right. I don't remember ever saying to myself, that's sort of a mess style. What's your favorite style or styles that the franchise has donned?
So I really like the reverse retro 1.0s. I thought the white just looked super clean, and I know people, a lot of people are fans of the current white road jerseys. They love those. I like that one. I like the green script. I think those are really cool.
Very cool looking, sure.
Yep. I also really like the 2001s, the green with the red and the yellow. Really, I love that classic look of those. And then I personally was a fan of their Winter Classic jerseys.
Very nice.
Not a lot of people are.
Oh, love.
Yeah. I love it. I was lucky to snag one I've got over here, but I love those jerseys. Like I said, I know a lot of people maybe don't like them, but I think they look super cool.
You mentioned as a collector of the team, as we're talking to Lucas Brawdy, Tales from the Warehouse, Volume 62, collector profile. There was a time when the Wild did not partner up with the Migray family, and now they are under the umbrella along with Philly, Washington, Columbus, Nashville, and New Jersey, and the Wild. They used to go through the lodge or whatever it was called, and people were like, yeah, it's okay, but tell me about the experience and sort of the peace of mind that, what you're experiencing now. I don't know. I never bought from the lodge. I don't know what it was like. They may have been super friendly, but, also you mentioned earlier in the pod that they dropped the prices even after saying, no, we're not going to drop the prices. You're like, I like communication. I like transparency. Tell me what it's like now. It's sort of a difference, if you will.
Yeah. I mean, I think really the last year or two of when the Hockey Lodge was doing it. So the Hockey Lodge is the Wild's kind of in arena store that they were doing, and they were running all of their own game worn merchandise. And I think at some point in the past, they would put them on the website and say, hey, we've got a Jared Spurgeon 2013, 2014 jersey. And they'd kind of put them on there, but it almost kind of seemed like haphazardly, wasn't really there. And I think really over the last 2 years before Migray got into the picture, it was really I am the biggest fan of the personnel at the Hockey Lodge. That was one of the favorite things about going there, was going up to the game worn stands and kind of talking shop with the guys and gals there.
I'm gonna use a horrible cliche that I know my friends in Wisconsin and Minnesota despise. Were they Midwest nice? Is that what drew you to?
Yeah, it was the true
Oh,
Midwestern
man.
nice, but it was just
Yes.
nice to kind of talk shop with them and be like, oh, well, you got this and there, and oh, what's that going for? Oh, nice. What about these and they kind of had stuff, but the thing was, it was disorganized. They were kind of running their own shop, and I mean, they've got so much other stuff to worry about, but it was kind of disorganized. I feel like when I got into collecting, obviously the Hockey Lodge was a place to get it, but you felt like you were looking at jerseys that were 3-4 years older. Where like, oh, it's 2022 and they're putting out 2019, 2020 stuff. And it's like, okay, well, when am I going to be able to get a jersey from last year? When am I going to be able to even get a jersey from 2 years ago? And it was just kind of disorganized. And some of the things as well is over the summer, they would throw these summer sales, but there wouldn't be any announcement where someone would just show up to the Hockey Lodge and they'd be like, oh, look, they put out a rack of 2019, 2020, 2021, 20, and they just put all their jerseys out. So someone would put it on Facebook, and then you have everyone being inundated with calls and like, oh, can you get me this jersey? Hey, if someone's running out of the lodge, can you grab me that? Hey, if you can someone, I'm in Canada right now. Can someone go grab this and ship it to me? And I think it made a lot of the collectors that are outside of Minnesota, it just wasn't a good experience because they were always depending on someone local to go try and get, hey, can you check to see if they've got a Matt Zuccarello jersey? Okay, can you tell me what it's going to be? And then it was just kind of hectic. But really, since Migray has stepped in, it's really helped organize the whole thing. And I think that's the big thing. It's been organized and it's been accessible. And I think that's the big thing now. No longer it feels like are the days where I have collectors coming to me being like, hey, you're local. Can you go check the Hockey Lodge? If you're going to the game tonight, can you check the Hockey Lodge and see if they have this player in this wear, in this jersey style, and blah, blah, blah. Now it's made it so much easier where it's like, hey, you can log onto the site. You can see what's available. It's accessible to everybody. There no longer are there days where everybody's trying to kind of figure out what the heck's going on. We now have one place to go to figure out, okay, what's available, what do we want, and then even with pre-orders, what can we get that's upcoming?
You mentioned the pre-order. Did you utilize that experience, and what was it like? If so,
Yeah, I got a couple jerseys here that I did. I got a Brock Faber that I got through a pre-order. This one's got some nice stitching on it.
very nice, great repair work right there. At least
Yeah,
three, and it's and I love talking about this with no matter the collector, no matter what team. When you pre-order and you can watch and you just say, again, I love the slogan. It's your jersey. He's just wearing it. The fact that you can either go to Excel and sit on the 100 level and take your own pictures and go, that huge mark, that's going to be mine in a couple of weeks. There's nothing like that, Lucas.
and it was, and I think this year was a little crazy. And to be frank, this is my kind of first year dealing with Migray. Like I said, kind of still new in the collecting business, but I think it was kind of a little hectic this year because it was kind of the perfect storm of, hey, we're changing jersey suppliers to Fanatics, and we're being onboarded to Migray. So I think from that perspective, it was kind of a little crazy because I think a lot of us collectors were like, hey, what's going on? What's going to happen? I know we were waiting until like December, and we're like, we haven't heard what the Minnesota Wild are going to do for their game-worn program, and we thought we would have known by August. So I think it was a little crazy in that regard. But really, once we found out and kind of once we got in it, it was super nice because it was really easy. Hey, I want this jersey, I want this player. I've got kind of these requirements, kind of sending that over, and then getting that email later on that's like, hey, I've got these jerseys. This jersey is with someone else, so we got a hold on it. And I think that was the nice thing about it was the kind of the personalized experience that you got. And I know when working with Dave, it was like, hey, I know I did it a couple of times where I'm like, hey, if person X doesn't want that Faber jersey, I want it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, okay, well, give me 24 hours, 48 hours. I'll let you know. And then I think maybe like a couple hours later, he's like, all right, it's yours if you want it. I know we kind of had a condition on these other jerseys that if this became available, the person, because I know sometimes you're like, okay, I really want that jersey, but I also want these ones, but I don't want to buy these ones if I can get this one. And that kind of took a lot of that away where it was like, hey, yep, you got those. We know what we want to do. But we can go on with this one. So it was cool being the personalized experience. And yeah, like you said, with this, I think it was also kind of cool because the pre-orders were at the end of the set when usually they're at the beginning. So we knew, hey, pre-orders are going to come up for set one. Set two, I was on line scavenging, seeing like, okay, what wear does this Faber jersey have? If I can get this Faber jersey, what wear does it have? And I look at the other ones. Okay, what does a Rossi have? Can I look if I know kind of around what the set dates are going to be? It was nice. Yeah, you can kind of go do your own research and then be like, yep, that's what I'm gonna get. And like you said, I know there are some people that in the Wild community that are, yeah, they're like, hey, I took this picture at the game and I've got the jersey right here. And it just gives you that kind of personal experience. And I think it's really super cool.
How has the game worn community helped you? Again, you mentioned you're still relatively new at this, but whether it was friends calling friends and helping out with something on sale, or you joining an online forum, it definitely adds to the experience.
Oh yeah, I think just the people that you meet are great in this community. I think it's really helped out. Like I said, to get that Kaprizov jersey that I said earlier, I like the guy posted on Facebook and was like, hey, this is what I got. And I just messaged him. I was like, hey, what did you get it for? What's going on? This and that. And he just gave me all the details. I was like, cool. Like, I know I can do that. And even just like, one of the things I believe in as well is just kind of helping each other collect. So I know I'm always on the lookout. Like, hey, I know from just talking with someone, I know, hey, this person collects Matt Boldy. I know this person collects Ryan Suter. I know this person collects so-and-so. Being able to like then tag someone in like a Facebook post and you're like message them and be like, hey, I know you were looking for a Kaprizov stick last time that we talked. Hey, I saw this on the website. Just want to make sure you saw it. And that's been the really cool part, is just being able to kind of talk with each other and kind of help each other kind of get what we want, and kind of say, hey, if you've got this, I'd be willing to trade this. Oh, you're looking for that? Great. That's been really the great thing, is just to build those personal relationships with other collectors and just know, hey, if you're on the lookout for something, I'll look out for you too. And we can help each other in this kind of collection.
It's Tales from the Warehouse, Volume 62, Collector Profile, talking to Lucas Brawdy and his Wild collection, which is wildly cool, I have to say. I may use that again, when I help promote the podcast. You mentioned the T word, the Wild community, robust as far as trades that you've experienced. Any big deals, little deals, or just, we buy and there's a swap once in a while?
I think it's the latter. I think it's kind of I think it's a lot of like buy and sell.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's always room to make a trade, but I think it's always got to benefit people. I'm down, for me personally, down to make a trade if it makes sense. I think one of the fairest trades that I actually made was I had a Jonas Brodin 20th anniversary home jersey. And I was like, hey, like I said earlier, I'm trying to kind of build the depth in the collection. I was like, hey, I'm looking for a Jonas Brodin away jersey. And some guy was like, yep, I got a Jonas Brodin away 20th anniversary. I want a home. Well, I was like, that's the fairest trade I've ever done. That made it the super easy. We just met up then in a parking lot somewhere, handed them off, both very happy with our purchases and our collections, and it was great. But yeah, I think our community from the Minnesota Wild stuff is, I think people are willing to make trades, but I think right now it's been kind of recently kind of buy and sell.
We're coming up to just about, give or take, 2 months before the start of the season. Thoughts on the Wild off-season so far, and who are you looking to add to the collection that may not have been with the club last year?
Yeah, so thoughts on the off-season. I think it was quiet, but I think it was good. I think really where a lot of people thought, hey, now that the Suter and Parise buyouts are off the books, the Wild are going to go crazy. They don't have that 14. Right. Exactly. They don't have that $14.7 million in dead cap anymore. But with the state of how the NHL is gone, there just really wasn't anyone out there to spend that money on. I know the only person that I've seen that the Wild were interested in was Brock Nelson, but Brock Nelson re-signed with the Avs. And then it was Brock Besser, but I think the Wild got the rumblings that I heard, that they kind of got the rumblings that he was actually going to go back to Vancouver. And I think there were teams that were positioned to offer him probably more than what the Wild wanted to on longer deals and stuff like that. So I think the Wild, the moves that they made were, I think they were sneaky. I think you don't look at it and say, hey, a Nico Sturm is gonna put the Wild over the edge. But what it did was, when you got rid of Freddie Gaudreau, who was playing that kind of fourth line center role, you had someone in Nico Sturm who's been with the club before, but also is an excellent faceoff guy. I believe he's been in the top 50% of faceoffs, even 60% in the faceoffs. And I know as someone who's quite astute to the kind of the faceoff dot. And he also brings in a PK prowess that the Wild desperately need. Bottom of the league last year in PK, so that's something they need. Again, laterally, same. I think they signed for about roughly the same at kind of AAV wise, but bring something to the table that the Wild are missing. And then same with Tarasenko. I think they're really betting that he can kind of be in between St. Louis Blues Tarasenko and Red Wings Tarasenko. And I think that also gives them the ability to where right now it's a buyer's market. People are not wanting to trade. That's why I think Marco Rossi is still on this team, is that people don't want to make trades. They want to give up assets. They don't want to give up players. This positions the Wild for, hey, you get one of those blockbuster trades about like November, December. You get one of those where it's like, holy crap, this guy is being traded to so-and-so. And then obviously you get the closer to the trade deadline, you get the other kind of bigger deals that are going to come up. I think this positions the Wild to be players now in that game. It gets them in there where it's like they're not committing 7 years and over $8 million to a Brock Besser, but say there's someone who becomes unhappy, or there's a team that's starting to kind of fall in the standings, and they're like, hey, you know what? We're going to have to go into fire sale mode. That didn't want to at this point in the summer. The Wild are now in a perfect prime position to be able to jump on that. And I think with that, like some of the guys then looking to add for next year, really looking to kind of get in some of the props, really looking to add like a Zeev Buium next year. One of the kids who's gonna come up. I think he's still only 19, gonna turn 20 years old. He's gonna jump in the lineup. He's gonna have to play some big minutes. He's gonna be put right on the first power play. Really looking to add one of him. Really looking then to see what a Danila Yurov has. Another Russian kid who's, hey, see what he's got. He's got some great potential, but kind of coming over, it's like you don't know what to expect. So I'm really looking to add some of the younger guys. And then I think the nice thing about this is that especially with having Maigret is like, hey, if I don't get a Tarasenko on the first go around, and it maybe comes to the middle of January, middle of February, there still might be a Tarasenko up there, and I'm like, hey, you know what? I need to get a Tarasenko now. Maybe that's the time. That's the nice thing about this is even if I pass on some of these guys now, I can still go back later in the season and pick one up.
Sales at Maigret.com is how you do that. Wild stuff from the inaugural season with the Maigret family available at Maigret.com. Summer sale runs until September 1st. And if you want to see something not even cooler, maybe you're a basketball fan, but what's not cool about the Lakers and LeBron? Right now over at Heritage Auctions, as part of the Summer Platinum Sports Auction, there are Lakers dressing room lockers, as well as Icon Edition jerseys and warm-up shirts and jackets. That runs through September 20. Make that August 24th. August 24th, extended bidding that Saturday night. Check it out over at Heritage Auctions. That stuff came through Maigret. It's dynamite. I was perusing before the recording session. All right, Lucas, let's do a little overtime, and then we'll let you get out of here. And thank you so much for joining the Tales from the Warehouse, volume number 62. Beer guy, burger guy, both, neither?
Both.
Okay. Surly or New Glarus, being that you've done time in Western Wisconsin and the great state of Minnesota. We like Todd the Axeman. We like Spotted Cow. We like Moon Man, which is one of my favorite beers that I can't get unless I come to Wisconsin to go get it.
Yep. New Glarus. I Spotted Cow is, I think that's the one where every time I crossed the border, it felt like I was just go over there and like, all right, just right on the other side of the river, right in Hudson, stop at a Quick Trip, another Midwest staple to the Minnesota and Wisconsin kind of community. It's New Glarus Spotted Cow all the way.
All right, good. So now we go from anti-touristy, because not everybody's a beer person, but I'm a beer nerd, and I love both. And when friends would send me Cow or Moon Man or whatever, I of course I'm a fan, and I'm forever thankful. Here's something that I have yet to have in my life, and again, super touristy. Matt's Bar, 5'8", Nook, the Juicy Lucy. Is it overhyped, or is it, and do you have a go-to place? Or maybe it's Le Burger. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, I think they're probably overhyped. But I think they're still a really good burger. But I mean, between 5'8" and I think I'd go Matt's for like the experience. I think Matt's has just got a really good experience in there, and get the kind of the smaller kind of shoestring finds. But I'm also not picky. I'll take a 5'8" club either way. But I think if you're gonna go, I think you gotta go match for the kind of match for the experience. Then if you want to branch out, I know I don't know if they call it like the rodeo burger or the roadhouse burger. They put the onion on, the barbecue sauce, stuff like that. I mean, you can't go wrong with either.
All right. Thank you for taking part in that. I need to visit. It's now more painfully obvious than ever. Lucas, thanks so much for sharing the collection, for the awesome Faber and Rossi and Fleury, and keep on doing what you're doing. Your collection is growing and it's quite beautiful. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, I appreciate you for having me.
Always. It's been Tales from the Warehouse, Volume 62, Collector Profile. Lucas Brawdy, kind enough to join us. Again, mygray.com, wild stuff, and so much more. Summer sale until September the 1st, and the MyGray Lakers items currently up for bid at Heritage Auction through the Summer Platinum Sports Auction. That one rolls on until August 24th. August 24th, when they will go into extended bidding. Great lockers from the dressing room, amazing jerseys, the Icon Edition. Until next time, for Lucas, I'm Scott. The warehouse is closed.